story of the Good Samaritan. It's our patron gospel reading. I know it's so familiar to us, but there are two things that I'm really intrigued about in our gospel reading. Two things, at least two things, but two things especially. The first is the question that the lawyer asks Jesus. It's a curious question, and it's kind of a test, really. Either the lawyer really doesn't know what he's talking about, really doesn't know the nature of God, or he's being really sly, because the question is, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" That doesn't make any sense logically. Think about it. How do we normally inherit something? Yeah, from family. Someone who loves us, usually a parent or a grandparent or a beloved aunt or uncle, somebody leaves something to us, some money or some property or some stuff. And the only reason why we inherit it is because they love us. Or we're the last in the line and somebody's got to deal with it all. But an inheritance isn't something that we work for or earn or are worthy of, is it? Usually. It's not as if our parents say, well, you have to do this, 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 and this, or I'll disinherit you, hopefully. An inheritance is something that's just given to us. It is just given to us. And so the question, as I said, doesn't make any sense. Why would the lawyer say, what must I do to inherit eternal life? It kind of presupposes that God's love for us and the kind of relationship that God is offering us is just transactional. God says, oh, I'll do this, or you do this, and then I'll love you. That doesn't make any sense. What parent would say to their child, well, I'll love you if, or I'll love you but? Real love is just given. It's just given. I think part of the reason why it's so difficult is because actually we understand intellectually the idea of unconditional love, but I think few, if any of us, have ever actually experienced unconditional love. And so, even with God, we're kind of guarded. Well, Lord, I know you love me, but don't I have to be perfect? And God says, no. I know you love me, Lord, but I did miss church twice last month. Do you love me a little less? And God says, no, of course I don't. I haven't been really great with my prayers, I haven't really loved my neighbor as myself. Doesn't that sort of partially disqualify me? Don't I need to make it up somehow? And God says, no, all I want is to give you my heart and for you to give your heart in return. That's it. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. And yet it is, we find it so difficult. So difficult. What must I do to inherit eternal life? What must I do to inherit your love? And God says, nothing. You already have it. Fully, completely, totally. I am totally on your side. I am with you always. I love you without reservation. And I think part of our life as Christians, part of our spiritual practice, is to walk into that place of unconditional love, more and more and more and more. That's the first thing that really intrigued me about the reading today. The other thing is actually in the story itself, and it's the two characters. And forgive me, I'm a priest, and so forgive me if this looks like I'm trying to excuse the priest who passed by on the other side. It kind of looks bad on all of us, right? But the priest and the Levite pass by on the other side, and we think, wow, that was really callous, right? Because if we're honest, in the story of the Good Samaritan, who do we like to associate with ourselves with most? With the Good Samaritan, right? Everybody wants to be the Good Samaritan. I mean, put your hand up if you really want to be the priest or the Levite. That's what I thought. And yet, they probably had good reason. Two things come to mind. Why would you pass by on the other side? Well, one is the priest and the Levite must have seen the guy, lying half dead and thought, oh my gosh, the bandits are probably still around, so I need to get out of here quick, because I don't want to be next. Right? How many times have I passed by on the other side because I'm scared the same thing might happen to me? Oh, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be dragged into that, whatever that may be, because I'm just going to get chewed up as well. So it's best if I just pass by quietly on the other side. Or the priest and the Levite might have thought, it's one of those scams. Somebody pretends to be, a victim. I go over and I try to help. And then it turns out they're one of the robbers and I get robbed and it's all a terrible scam. How many times have we said that to ourselves? Oh yeah, it's just some sort of scam. The reason why people beg outside the library, it's just some sort of scam. They could really work if they wanted to, but they get more money by just begging, so why bother? It's a thing, right? So I'm quite justified in passing by, on the other side. But we have to ask ourselves, what would Jesus do? What would Jesus do? Would Jesus be afraid to go up and take the risk, and it might be a horrible scam? Would Jesus be afraid of putting himself out? Maybe that's the other reason. They knew that helping this guy would be a real big inconvenience. I really don't have time. I'd really like to help you, but I've got stuff to do. I think Jesus would say, to heck with it. I'm just going to go over and help. If I lose my stuff, fine. Even if I lose my life, fine. I'm just going to reach out in love. I'm just going to, because I'm not afraid. And once we're not afraid, then we are free. And then we can really live. If we're not afraid of terrible consequences, there's nothing that anyone can do to us. And that takes courage, doesn't it? But I could lose it all, Lord. Yes, but in losing what you think is important, you gain everything. What do you gain? Eternal life. And that's it, isn't it? That is it. That the invitation to be a good neighbour isn't to make God happier or ingratiate ourselves into the Lord's favour or have him love us more. See what I did? I was so good. Aren't you proud of me? I was always proud of you, Dad says. I've always been proud of you. The call to be a good neighbour is for our own heart, so that we will be free, so that we can live, so that we can inherit eternal life. So be unafraid, be a good neighbour, be a Samaritan, because the kingdom, God's love, it's already yours. Amen.